No. Suicide Squad Isekai is the next installment in DC's current strange obsession with the Suicide Squad characters, and of course, they're raging hard on for Harley Quinn. I don't know which executives, or producers, or whoever are greenlighting all this Suicide Squad stuff, but I think they might be overestimating, just a tad, how much people care about the Suicide Squad. The Suicide Squad are not DC's answer to the Guardians of the Galaxy, and we should have never been in a position where a Suicide Squad game is deemed as more important than a Superman or Batman Beyond game. But that's the timeline that we've somehow fallen into. I don't know what butterflies I trod on to cause this, but here we are. And here we are with the Suicide Squad anime, where the infamous squad experienced the most anime thing possible, an isekai adventure. Because as we all know, isekai is the most popular genre of anime, and everyone loves them, and everyone adores seeing 50,000 isekai made every season. We're all still waiting for anime like No Game No Life, and Do You Love Your Mom and Her 2-hit multi-target attacks to get second seasons. And just like the average isekai, the Suicide Squad anime has received a very warm response. It currently has a score of 6.5 on IMDb, and on my anime list, where anime generally get higher scores, not always, but most of the time, Suicide Squad Isekai has a score of 6.7. Now all jokes aside, these aren't the greatest scores of all time, and it seems to imply that people really don't like the new Suicide Squad anime. I've seen a fair bit of sentiment that this is a bad show, but I've got to be honest, I think I actually disagree with that sentiment. Now is this show a masterpiece or an underrated series? No. A lot of people are going to bounce off this show because it's genuinely really stupid and is not a must watch at all. I was able to enjoy this show because I knew going into it that it was going to be a really silly affair, and I was able to switch my brain off and enjoy it for what it was. If you can't do that, then that's fine. Not everyone wants to watch a dumb show, or at least doesn't want to watch a show this dumb. And I also don't think it's unfair for anyone to have expected a smarter show, as this anime is written by Teppei Nagatsuki, who is also the creator and writer of such highly regarded works like ReZero Starting Life in Another World and Vivy Fluorite Eyes Song. Going into the show knowing that, I think a lot of people were fully expecting a more complicated and nuanced tale of the Suicide Squad traversing this isekai world, instead of the far more shallow and uninspired tale that we got here. However, the lack of a compelling narrative didn't bother me at all, possibly because I had heard all the criticisms of this show going into it, so I had my expectations thoroughly lowered, or because I simply wasn't that interested in this show to begin with. There have been quite a few superhero anime over the years, more than you would think. Even Blade got an anime.
Some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill.
But there's never been one that people have tripped over themselves to praise and say, you gotta watch this. So I was sort of expecting a similar level of quality with Suicide Squad Isekai. And like I said earlier, this is another Suicide Squad project to add to the growing pile. And I don't think it will surprise that many of you to learn that I'm not really the biggest Suicide Squad fan. So when the anime ended up being this really wacky, silly adventure where I didn't need to take anything seriously, I didn't mind it and just ended up finding the whole thing to be really fun. I mean, the ending song cracks me up every time I watch it. Just watching a character like Amanda Waller. Just watching her bust a move and pull these cursed anime faces is hilarious and tells you exactly what this show is going to be. It is so great that it's enough to distract you from the fact that the song itself by Mario Calliope is genuinely good too, although I don't like the opening. Visually it is spectacular, but I'm not a fan of anime openings that don't have any vocals, so I didn't like this one. Honestly, I think the reason why I like this anime was because I enjoyed the characters. All of them are just as deep as the anime itself, but I enjoyed their silly personalities. I am so glad that the version of Harley in this show is the Joker obsessed one. I'll be honest, I'm not really a Harley Quinn fan. I think she's really overused and has been prioritised over other characters that I'd like to see on screen. However, when I watched Batman the Animated Series and the new Batman Adventures earlier this year, I was genuinely quite shocked by how much I loved Harley Quinn's character. I think I just personally prefer the morally corrupt and Joker obsessed version over the one who's reformed and is basically kinda like a female version of Deadpool. I'm not saying this version of Harley can't be good, just that I like Harley when she's got a bit of an evil side to her, and I like that this is the version of Harley that we get here. Again, like the rest of the characters, she's nothing special. I just found it really refreshing that we got to see Harley back as the version that I like. However, I did still find her a little annoying here, because you can tell that once again the show wants to prop her character up and goes out of its way to do just that. The best example I could think of is when Harley fights Katana in the first episode. Now Katana should whoop Harley's ass in any universe, but instead this fight comes across as really weird because for some reason Harley was able to hold her own for far too long. It literally just made Katana seem really incompetent. There shouldn't be a single universe where Harley is in any way a match for Katana, but there we are. Luckily, I did enjoy a lot of the other characters. It would be almost impossible to make King Shark unlikable. Even in the Suicide Squad game that everyone hates, people still really like King Shark, and that's no different here. Deadshot isn't my favourite character by any means, but I did find it funny when we learned that he was just an unintentional jackass to Ratcatcher. Peacemaker's great, because of course he is. He's voiced by Dio. I don't need to say anything more than that for you to know that he's a standout. Honestly, I don't think you could have got a better person to voice the character.
Are you sure about that?
And I love that Rick Flag is constantly running around trying to keep the squad from getting themselves and him killed. But my favourite character, by far, has to be Clayface. I really love this interpretation of the character. He's basically just Michael Jackson moonwalking on his enemies. This version of Clayface is still an actor, but I love that he's a delusional one that believes himself to be this great thespian and the protagonist of the story. I laughed a lot at this character, and I love that he was the guy making all the references, not just to the fact that they were in an Isekai, but to lots of Western films too, that I don't often see get mentioned in anime. The scene where he recreates the thumb up scene from Terminator 2 to a crowd of Isekai people who have no idea what he's doing is still one of the most memorable moments in this series. And I do like that this show gives an answer to the question, how can a bomb in Clayface's neck actually kill him? And the answer is just as stupid as the show itself. There's also a few fairly other famous DC characters that pop up in this series to cause some mischief, notably the Joker and a couple other former Suicide Squad members that show that the writers, at the very least, did watch the last two Suicide Squad films. And the real saving grace of this series is the fact that this is an anime by Wit Studio. Unsurprisingly, they deliver in the animation department. And whilst this anime isn't much in terms of story or characterization, it absolutely does have some breathtaking animation and fight scenes. Although I do think that sometimes the animation can be too good, in the sense that there's so much going on that I'm occasionally having a hard time following the action. But most of the time, I do think that this anime looks really good and delivers the necessary chaotic action that I'm looking for in a Suicide Squad show. This anime may not have the best story with some rather weak pacing. Everything happens so fast in this anime and nothing is ever really explained, we're just doing things most of the time, and the characters do have as much depth as a slice of paper, but I did enjoy this anime. It isn't one of my favourite anime by any means, but if you're in the mood for something silly that you don't really have to think about, then this is the anime for you. All I hope is that next time they bring in Captain Boomerang. I love Captain Boomerang and I'm still really salty about what happened to him in the Suicide Squad. But regardless, that is just how I feel about this anime. What about you? Did you like it? Have you even seen it? Who's your favourite member of the Suicide Squad and who's your favourite character in this anime? Also, is there a DC villain that you would like to see join the squad? Personally, I think a character like Kite Man would be a perfect fit for the Suicide Squad. But do let me know your answers to all those questions down in the comments below. And whilst you're down there, do be sure to hit the like button. It significantly boosts this video in the YouTube algorithm. And if you're feeling especially generous, then do consider subscribing. I'm hoping to hit 1000 subscribers before the end of the year, and we're nearly there. But anyway, thank you so much for watching this video, I really appreciate it, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.